College of Physiotherapy, Sumandip Vidyapeeth, deemed to be University. I, Dr. Dhvani Chandpura, Assistant Professor, College of Physiotherapy, Sumandip Vidyapeeth, heartily welcome you all for today's webinar. I welcome our today's esteemed resource person, Dr. Manoj Kumar, Principal, Sri B.G. Patel, College of Physiotherapy, Anand, Dr. Kaushal Bhatt, a pediatric physiotherapist practicing in Bhavnagar, Dr. Avinash Bothra, Assistant Professor and Neonatologist from SBKS MIRC, Sumandeep Vidyapeeth. I welcome you all for the celebration of World Cerebral Palsy Day 2020. I also welcome our respected Principal, College of Physiotherapy, Sumandeep Vidyapeeth, Professor Dr. Lata Parmar Ma'am, our senior faculty, Professor G.P. Kumar, and all faculties and participants for today's webinar. World Cerebral Palsy Day, celebrated every year on 6th of October, not only raises awareness of the most common physical disability affecting children, but reminds us that we have a duty as a society to protect their human rights and help them live fulfilling their lives just like everyone else. However, every year in India, 3rd October is celebrated as National Cerebral Palsy Day in the remembrance of Dr. Pareen Mullah Feroz, who worked all her life for cerebral palsy children. We all are aware that during the national health emergency due to the novel coronavirus, our multidisciplinary cerebral palsy clinics and non-urgent in-person visits are suspended, and it caused harmful effects on the provision of habilitation and rehabilitation services for children with cerebral palsy. In India, taking into this consideration of today's era, the college has planned this webinar, that is Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic on Pediatric Rehabilitation Practices. With this, I first like to invite Principal, College of Physiotherapy, Sumandeep Vidyapeeth, Professor Dr. Lata Parmar Ma'am, to say few words. I welcome you, ma'am.
Good morning to all. Good morning, the experts who are going to be with us today. Dr. Manoj Kumar, Principal, College of Physiotherapy, Dr. Kaushal Bhatt, Chief of Kids Physiotherapy Rehab Center, and Dr. Avinash Bothra, who is a neonatologist from our own campus, Mandeep Vidyapeeth, SBKS MIRC. Actually, today it is a very important day for me because I have been mentored by Dr. Mullah Feroz in Children's Orthopedic Hospital. She has been the pioneer of team concept in India, and it is in her remembrance that Indian Cerebral Palsy Day is observed on the 3rd of October. Nevertheless, since 6th of October is very close by as World Cerebral Palsy Day, we generally combine both. So my respects to Dr. Mullah Feroz, who was the medical director of Children's Orthopedic Hospital and with whom I have worked, and I think I carry a part of her in me. Now, as it is, this day reminds us that we have a big duty to do to those children whose life has been a little bit problematic. However, if we do our best and we help them, we can really take them to their potentials and also see that they can be productive members of this community. I have many children who have passed through my hands, who are today serving in international corporates as HR executives, and who have done their education, post-graduations. I have many children, and some whom I am in contact and some whom I am not in contact. But I can tell you that physiotherapists can change life of these patients and these children. So I think we today together will look at this goal, especially in view of COVID-19. because here now COVID-19 is restricting you from physical interactions. So how will be the days to come when we will be looking after this cerebral palsy kids, trying to make them near normal, trying to integrate them with the society. With this, I welcome all the three resource persons, welcome you all from Sumandip Parivar. Please, thank you for joining us and have a nice day. And I'll be listening to you also. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Welcome.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Now I request our third speaker of the day, Dr. Kaushal Bhatt. He will be covering his talk on private pediatric physiotherapy practice during pandemic. Dr. Kaushal Bhatt is pediatric physiotherapist practicing in Bhavnagar, Gujarat. He owns Kids Pediatric Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation Center in Bhavnagar, where he works with cerebral palsy children. He is certified in many courses like NDT for treatment of children with cerebral palsy and other neuromotor disorders, sense solving, developmental assessment scale for Indian infants, and follow-up of high-risk newborns and neurodevelopmental assessment test. He has taken many workshops on different titled like treatment of function in children with cerebral palsy, application of sensory integration framework in cerebral palsy. Along with this, he has many publications on his name. With this, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dhwani, for introduction. And is it my voice audible? Is it everything okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, right?
Yes,
Are
sir,
you
it's
able to see
visible.
it? Fine. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Dhwani, and thank you, Lata ma'am, and all staff of Sumandeep for inviting me to talk on this topic. Previously, we heard Notsa's talk on how COVID affect on clinical setup. I am a physiotherapist who is having a private setup. So how it affect me? This is what I'm trying to cover here. A few positive points in post-COVID practice we got is hand hygiene, social distancing, toy sanitization, clinic disinfection, home care with new ideas, NICU work and telehealth. I'm going in detail later on. A few negative points in post-COVID practice we saw is patient reduced. In our clinic means 2 patients per slot. Previously we used to take 3 patients per slot. Small babies cry due to our face shield and mask. They doesn't like it. They are scared. We cannot build a rapport with parents and child because we are fully covered with our mask and face shield. We cannot play with child using facial expression, like we can laugh or we can uh, trying to cry in front of them so they can be entertained. We cannot do that. And NICU direct contact has been stopped. I'll stop the NICU direct contact because I'm also worried that after seeing the patient in clinic, if I'm going to NICU, it will be difficult for neonates also and neonatologist also. So I will stop going to NICU. See, this is picture pre-COVID when I was treating child without wearing mask, and we were happy. And now, 2 masks, face shield, everything we are wearing while we are treating. So it is really difficult for us as well as for child also. Now, what is standard operating procedure in our clinic? Pre-COVID, upon entrance in clinic, patient head were not sanitized. We never tried that. Only we were sanitizing our hand. Sometime not. But now it is must that upon entrance in clinic, patient has to be sanitized. We did not check temperature or SpO2 of the baby. We never checked that. When our parents complain that my child is having temperature or a fever, we used to just check by hand and we used to send them to pediatrician. But now we are checking temperature and SpO2 of baby. So because of that, our I think 5 to 10 minutes we are taking in that because in babies it is very difficult to get SpO2, especially in the longest finger. Also, you check. Sometimes it might get more than 2 to 3 minutes. Temperature we are getting easily. So full 45 minutes of session we cannot take. Uh, Previously, we used to clean equipment once a day because I am having from 15 centimeter to 120 centimeter all the ball. But now, with every lunch break, like morning, afternoon, evening, 3 times we are using equipment sanitized with sodium hypochlorite and ultraviolet rays. Uh, Pre-COVID, we used to sanitize the toys which we are having only once a week or whenever it is necessary. Now, post COVID, we sanitize all the used toys with sodium hypochlorite with cotton cloth bring by patient and reuse the same only next day. We are not using on the same day. But yes, this fifth point, patient use patient clothes to cover ball or bolster. This we were using from the beginning of my clinic because we know that patients might be drooling, patient might like to uh, see that. They like to roll on the ball. They like to put tongue on the ball or bolster when we are putting them prone. So from initially onwards, we are using cotton clothes to cover. So this is what we are doing now also. Uh, uh, then for a foot exercise, whenever we were needed doing foot exercise, maybe foot mobilization or TA elongation, we used to do with bare hands and we used to wash hands with soap water or we used to sanitize our hand before COVID. But now, whenever we are treating patients, especially those who need a foot mobilization or TA or whatever is needed to be done with foot, we are wearing hand gloves. Um, Previously, we were allowing any patient, those who are coming. Now, we have limited our patients. Only patients, those who are coming by private vehicle, are allowed in clinic. Those who are coming by public transport, like auto or they are coming by ST bus, we are not allowing them. We are asking them to do the home programs. Few are doing, few are not. Now, this is a guideline for patients and patient consent form we are doing in our clinic. Uh, as you see in the guideline for parents, we have started clinic from 18th April onwards, but from 18th May onwards, we are working full day. I'm having team of 5 therapists and we none of are coming regularly except me. All are coming twice a week or thrice a week. So there is a guideline for parents to wear a mask, sanitize the hand when they are coming to enter the clinic, don't touch each and everything because parents are also having tendency to touch each and everything when they are coming to clinic. Like sometimes they are touching ball, sometimes they are touching stool, or sometimes they like to put foot on the stool which is nearby. So now we are writing them like, please do not touch anything when they are entering to clinic. Plus, please wear a mask because previously in this SOP I wrote them like you can wear a clean handkerchief also. But now as time goes by and new research is coming by, we know that handkerchief is uh, WHO and people, doctors are saying that the handkerchief is not effective as mask. So I am asking them to wear mask because as you know, when they're putting handkerchief, most of the time it is on the neck instead of covering their nose and mouth. Other thing which what we are noticed is when they are putting handkerchief on mouth, when we are asking, okay, what is the problem with your child, they always put down. So I said with this also I can able to hear. So please put your mask on or handkerchief on. So now we are making mask compulsory in our clinic also. Along with that, we are never allowed that people, those who are coming from the cluster zone or those who are in quarantine to come to clinic. But now parents understood that, and now parents, those who coming from the long time are coming. So we know that who are coming from which place. So in that way, in private practice, it is little bit safer. Patient or child, those who are having cough, cold, running nose, or fever should not brought for therapy. And we are asking them to meet pediatricians. Once that issue is resolved, you can come. This is a patient consent form we are taking every day. Date, temperature, SpO2, influenza-like illness, or severe respiratory distress syndrome. We are just asking them if you are having any of this, and they are signing self-declaration. We are writing mobile number, mode of transport, Aadhaar number, and address. Because sometime in case if we got some positive case and if patient is new, we doesn't know from which area they belongs, we can definitely trace them out. So this is for tracing we are using in a clinic. Every day patient is coming and they have to sign. This is video of one of my patient, one of my therapists is treating it. Okay, now you see he doesn't want it to wear this handkerchief. Okay, he doesn't want it to cover. So to try that, he was moving, he was using more of his iliopsoas, he was flexing from hip, and he wanted to take out hand, and he wanted to take hand to the mouth, and he wanted to take out this handkerchief. He is not very much comfortable. Okay. Same, you see this girl, she's also 4-year-old girl. She's having mixed type of cerebral palsy where athetosis, spasticity is there, and she also doesn't like to wear mask. Okay, so it is little bit difficult for kids. They doesn't like to wear mask, so they try to pull mask, and by that way they are taking their hand to mouth more frequently than before. Okay, so child under 2 years of age are exempted to wear mask, but other kids we are trying them to do the with fun activities. Okay, so they cannot pull down. We are trying it our best. uh, Difficulty for therapy for us, as it is one-to-one session, we can't do the contactless therapy, especially those who are severely disabled, because friends, those who are working in adult setup in my city, I have seen them like, okay, you are maintaining distance with patient, or you just go there, place your equipment there or instrument there, and you just come back and you are just asking patient to do activity by itself. But now here I cannot do that, because this is a uh, contact, we cannot do contactless therapy here, especially patient those who are severely disabled. Maintaining social distancing with patient is difficult for us. With parents, yes, we are maintaining, but it's difficult for parents, so we are started wearing 2 masks and face shield to cover ourselves. Still, few strategies can't be done, especially oromotor work or face-to-face work with babies. When babies is sitting in front of us and we are doing some activities, so we are trying to avoid that activity still. And expenses, hand sanitizer and face mask cost increase. Yes, in my clinic, I am providing this sanitizer face mask to my therapist, but still this cost has increased. This is my team. We, including me, we have a 5 therapists, and I can proudly say 2 of them are passed from Sumandip, Krutika and Preksha. Preksha now went to Canada. Uh, Krutika is still working with me here in my clinic. So this is a team of 5 therapists working with me. And as I told you, except me, all are coming either alternate day. None of them are coming regularly, because each slot we are seeing one patient. This is just to give idea of how we schedule. In 2019, we used to see 3 patients in one time and 3 therapists. So one-to-one patient always we used to follow from the long time. So 3 patient and 3 therapists. So now we have changed it, and now this is what, this is in 2020. We have reduced one patient. Now only along with me only one therapist is there, and we are seeing 2 patients at a time. So we can maintain social distancing also in my clinic. This is evening schedule, and we did same thing. We have removed one patient, we have changed their time, we have reduced the session, because previously we used to call them 3 times a week. Now we might call them 1 or 2 a week. Difficulty for parents. Some parents worried because of poor immunity of their child. As we know, child with those who are having severely disabled or GNFCS 4-5, their immunity might be low. So when they are definitely worried that if I take my child to clinic, my child might get corona. So yes, they are little bit worried. They are resisted. So many patients still doesn't want to come out for therapy, whatever their child condition may be. But sometimes we know there are so many jobs has been lost, salary cut has been there, so sometimes financial problem also not allowing to bring child for a therapy. In that case, Niramaya can help, and many of you know Niramaya is a policy given by Government of India, Ministry of Social Welfare and Justice. It is a policy where every year 1 lakh rupees insurance has been covered for the person with disability, and for therapy every year they are giving 10,000 rupees, for surgery 40,000 rupees, for clinical diagnosis or to meet clinician they are giving 8,500 rupees. So there are different slots we have to, they are reimbursing bill. There are a big process, but yes, because of Niramaya so many of patients are coming, because government is giving them a money that is also to take treatment from private clinic. This Niramaya we are using from long time. My patients are enrolled in that. Positive outcome for COVID for kids. Parents now understood importance of therapy, as Manoj sir told. Now parents have started understanding what physiotherapy was doing. Now this girl, this photograph which I showed here, she is a girl. Now she is an 8-year-old. before 2.5 years, in 2018, she fell down from that big jumping and she got upper cervical spinal cord injury. From 2018 April, I am seeing her. She is still on ventilator. During first lockdown, I stopped coming out from my house and I stopped going to her house also, because that was my only home visits, because she's still on ventilator. I used to go. So all the people or relative was talking to them like, he is coming from last 2 years and you are not seeing any changes in your girl, why physiotherapy is needed? But when I didn't went to therapy for 1 month, and her muscles has started spastic more and more, that time they understood that this is not always curing, this is always prevention also. So because of that, now they understood that here physiotherapy is doing prevention. Parents understood importance of home program also, because we in few patients, those who are coming after 6-7 months, we are able to see some good postural changes also in home, because now they are post break. What? Because of COVID they took post break, they are more independent to do activities at home, which they were not doing while they were coming for therapy. Okay, I used to give one example in Gujarati, and most of them you people are understand Gujarati. So what I was telling them, whenever they are coming for therapy, I used to always ask કે તમે મારી પાસે થેરાપીમાં આવો ત્યારે હું એ લોકોને એક એક્ઝામ્પલ આપું કે તમે મને એક રસ્તો પૂછો છો, સપોઝ મારે સર એસટી સ્ટેન્ડ જવું છે, કઈ રીતે હું જઈ શકીશ? હું એને રસ્તો બતાવું કે તમે અહીંથી નીચે ઉતરો, ડાબી તરફ જજો, જમણી તરફ જજો. This is a home program. I just showed them a way. Second, કે ચાલો હું એ તરફ જાઉં છું, હું તમને એ સાઈડ લઈ જાઉં, તો તમે પણ ચાલો છો ને હું પણ ચાલુ છું. This is therapy with home program. And third, કે સર તમે ત્યાં જાઓ છો ને, તો હું તમારી સાથે આવીશ, મારે ત્યાં જવું છે પણ હું પગ નહીં ઉપડું, તમે મને ઢસડજો, તમારે મને ખેંચવાનું છે. It means I won't do anything. I am coming, I am paying to you. It is your responsibility to cure myself. I am not doing anything at all. And this, I always tell parents that this is a wrong concept, because when you are coming 3 times a week for a therapy, that time, what about other 4 days? It is not means she doesn't need or he doesn't need therapy. That time, because of neuroplasticity, I just wanted to see changes. What home? At home, what ADL activities can be changed? What function can be changed? What participation can be changed? For that, you need to work at home. You need to tell us how kids are working at home. Because of COVID, now they started understand that we have to work as a parents also, not only therapists can work. This is positive outcome for COVID for kids. Now, what positive outcome for me as a therapist? During lockdown and even after starting clinic also, me and my team has a lot of time to read new books and new articles, because I'm having big library and I'm having almost 100 books in my library, physiotherapy books. I'm talking. I have another library also. This I'm talking about physiotherapy books. I am having almost all pediatric physiotherapy books. Recently, whatever I keep purchasing it. So we try to discuss among ourselves, like what new things, when patient comes back to us, what new things we can implement in our children. And so our thinking has been changed. It gave us a time to think when patient reduced or we were on vacation and lockdown, and we came up with very new ideas. We learned to use minimum equipment for maximum session output, because previously we used to change equipment if patient resist or not happy to play along during therapy. Okay, if patient is telling I doesn't want to take this ball, okay, change this ball. I doesn't want to do this therapy on ball, sir, I am crying, or child might be crying without talking anything. We used to change. Okay, we change the equipment. Now what we are doing, we are not changing the equipment, we are changing the activities. So our thinking has been changed in clinical practice. New horizon as a clinical pediatric therapist. For me, what I've changed, home care and home program, as I told you, more and more people are wanted home program now. So what we are doing is we are showing them a video, or we are sending them a video when we are working on doll and asking them to do this type of therapy. They are doing home program. Second thing is home care. I always telling people like I never go for home visits, because I personally feel like child can be bring to clinic, and whatever equipments or whatever toys we are having in clinic, I can give better functional outcome. But now this time parents are scared to come out. Now what is the option? So for few patients, I've started doing the home care, or we can say the home visit, which is not new for 99% of the therapists. For pediatric physiotherapists, this is new for me, because in last 12 years of practice, I never done the home care except this girl who is still on ventilator from last 2.5 years. So child with cerebral palsy, one or two child I'm seeing once a week or twice a week, and I'm really happy that I can go to home. I can use their setup, whatever the stairs or sofa or palang, whatever chair, whatever it is there at home. I can use their setup and I can make patients to work on their muscles using that setup instead of. So new things has come to me. This is new for me, not for all. Telehealth, yes. Still, many parents are not ready. Acceptance is low in small cities and rural areas, but it proven effective in research. Recently, I have joined one course by Classy. Classy is a collaborative learning effect of air sensory collaborative leadership in air sensor integration, because I certified in sensor integration in 2016. So this course was on telehealth in sensor integration. So in USA or Western countries from long back, they are doing telehealth, and autism patients definitely are ready, because here also it is minimum of handling, and we are taking adaptive response through given different sensory inputs using different equipments. In home care also, when I'm talking on video, patients definitely understand that, and few patients are doing at home. But patients, those who are having severely disabled, those who are having cerebral palsy or genetic problem or GMFCS 3, 4, 5, they are a little bit not ready. Like, why to spend money when you are just talking us on video for 45 minutes? Instead of that, you just give us a home program. We'll do at home by ourselves, and we'll be pay you once a month. That will be my idea of treatment. So we are okay with that also, because that is up to parents what they want from us. But ultimately, what goal we are achieving, what prevention or curing, whatever is there, we need to do therapy for kids. Yes, as Dhwani told, I am certified in general movement assessment. So I am using this in telehealth in NICU, and ask parents to visit center only if general movement is abnormal. As you people know, or you might have heard, that general movement is a gold standard assessment. Just by observation of neonate, starting from 24 weeks preterm to 22 weeks post-term, we can see, just observe the movement, and by the seeing the movement, we can predict that this child might be getting cerebral palsy, and if they're getting cerebral palsy, which type of cerebral palsy. So it depends on which age, which type of general movement appears. It is gold standard, and on research, it is proven that just by seeing the observation, we can specificity is 92%. So 92 to 94% patients, we are getting right results. I'm just showing you one video. This video has been sent by parents from NICU. I have not visited that child. After that, I felt that I need to see them. Yes, this is yesterday's video only, so I called them to my clinic. Otherwise, I'm just asking them to send a video. I'm just telling them this is what general movement is. Just note it down, and clinician or their assistants is noting down in their NICU. So through telehealth, I stopped going to NICU. As I told you, my contact is not there, but whenever we are needed, I'm just calling them to my clinic. If this patient, say this patient Ali is having HI grade 2, okay, his date of birth is 20th of August. Now yesterday he was 1.5 months old, 6 weeks. Okay, now this is 40 weeks. He is a full term born. Okay, we can see this video and the movement what he is doing. Okay, the both the leg he is flexing slowly together. Okay, so when he was flexing the both the leg together, we can say it is a cramp synchronized movement. When cramp synchronized movement is there, it is like contract and relax. He might go for spastic cerebral palsy. When there is a cramp synchronized movement along with the rotational arm movement, he might go for the dyskinetic type of cerebral palsy, which I am unable to see here. Okay, I cannot say this is PR. PR is means poor repertoire of movement. It means movement is little bit less, and from there it might go for the CS. This is my prediction at the age of 1.5 months, just through video. After that, I called them yesterday only, and I taught them early intervention therapies, and they will carry out at home only. But I call them after 1 month. So after 1 month, at the age of 9 or 10 weeks, okay, I'm going to see the fidgety of movement. Fidgety movement is giving us the idea like how we can see fidgety movement in the wrist, shoulder, hip, and ankle towards the mid range. At around the 9 weeks, we are seeing the towards the mid range, and for the 12 weeks for the lower extremity mid range. And if we are seeing that, we can predict normal neurological outcome in babies. So through that, yes, telehealth is helpful for that. So because of COVID, some new things has come out. We improved our knowledge. Yes, patient has been reduced, but we are doing something new. We have restricted to do something new. We cannot give same toys to our patients, and as Manoj sir told, we need to send for the orthotic to Ahmedabad. Previously, I used to call orthotics from Ahmedabad here. Now I'm reluctant to send patient also to Ahmedabad. We are just telling them, okay, you just wait and watch. We'll wait for 6 months, and when corona cases will be decreased, or it is at least some control will be there, we'll call orthotic from Ahmedabad, because we also doesn't have any good orthotics in Bhavnagar. So this is what it has been changed in our clinical practice. Something we lose, something we gain, knowledge we gain, we lose some patients, but still we are growing, we are continuous working. Pediatricians in Bhavnagar are having faith on us. They are keep sending patients, because this new patient, those who are having diagnosed problem now, they keep coming to us. So thank you very much to listening to me. I thank you, Lata ma'am, for giving us opportunity to talk to all the staff of College of Physiotherapy, Sumandip Vidyapeeth, all the student and PGs of College of Physiotherapy, Sumandip Vidyapeeth, for listening me, and panelist of today's webinar, Dr. Avinash and Dr. Manoj sir. Thank you very much. This is my clinic. I'm stop sharing my screen. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience. With this, I again welcome our principal ma'am, Professor Dr. Lata Parmar ma'am, to say a few words.
Well, it was really a nice session by all of you, and very enlightening, and very enlightening to see that whatever the COVID must have thought of doing to the humans, it has not halted us from providing services even during these times. And I'm very happy to hear from a private practitioner, chief of a unit, rehab unit, also going ahead very nicely treating, handling patients. As I am also pleased to know that even in neonatology units, with all the care, and Dr. Manoj, who gave us and his experiences in his college, and I was happy to see the tunnel through which the CP students were passing through so happily. It was a very nice session from all of you, very enlightening, and thank you so much. Keep doing good work. Continue doing good work. Thank you a lot for being with us. Thank you very much.
Thank
God
you, ma'am.
bless.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I deliver a vote of thanks on behalf of College of Physiotherapy, Sumandip Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university, and organizing team of this webinar, Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic on Pediatric Rehabilitation Practices. I, Dr. Dhwani Chandpura, Assistant Professor, College of Physiotherapy, Sumandip Vidyapeeth, heartily extend our vote of thanks to our Honorable Founding President, Dr. Mansukh Shah sir, Honorable President Dr. Dixit sir, and Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. R.P. Bharane sir, for supporting all the endeavors to our institute. Along with this, special thanks to Dr. Punacha sir, Director Systems Operations of SVDU, for supporting technical and digital support for this webinar. We are also thankful to all the teaching and non-teaching staff who are directly or indirectly gave their support in the organizing this webinar. Along with that, we are thankful to our principal, Professor Dr. Lata Parmar ma'am, for providing her guidance and support in every step in organizing this webinar. We are also grateful to our eminent speakers, Dr. Manoj Kumar sir, Dr. Kaushal Bhatt sir, and Dr. Avinash Botra for sharing their experience with us. I am sure that it will give us some guidance to practice in this pandemic. Lastly, we are thankful to our participants, and there is one information for all of you. Recording of this webinar will be uploaded soon on the YouTube, and the link will be available on the webpage of College of Physiotherapy, Sumandip Vidyapeeth. With this, we end our today's webinar. Thank you all of you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.